Mwah, ha, ha. Welcome, listener, for you have fallen into my trap, also known as my stand, Marco and the Josie Cats. You are now part of my stand, and you must now forever listen to this episode of the Level Cap podcast featuring me and my other friend, Laura Levito, which we'll introduce after we talk about everything Level 99 games, music, stands, or otherwise. Hi everyone.
Hi.
Yeah, this is a new episode. Brad's not here. So I have enlisted the help of my favorite Joestar friend, Laura Joestar.
Oh. Man, I wish I was a Joestar.
You'd have a stand?
Do I actually, I don't know. That's kind of like a cursed family, right? I'm not sure I'm a Joestar.
I don't know. Like it's a cost-benefit analysis, right? What's the cost of
True.
Like how much of a cost is having to deal with vampires constantly compared to having rad superpowers?
Yeah. I mean, I would be better at posing, so I feel like it would be worth it.
Oh, definitely worth it. Welcome everyone to the Level Cap podcast. Laura's here. Oh my gosh.
Hi,
everyone.
Hi,
Oh my
everyone.
gosh, I'm so glad to have you back on, Laura. I apologize.
I'm happy to be here.
I apologize for dragging you into my mess this early in the
Oh.
morning. It's like what, 7 a.m. for you?
It is 7 a.m. This is a time that shouldn't exist in the
This
day.
is something we used to talk about, right? But like, I don't
Yes.
understand when I told you one time I was awake at 7 and you were like, why are you even awake at this time?
I was appalled. That's terrible. Like, you shouldn't be awake at 7 a.m. unless, like, you're going to sleep from, like, having a really good night.
I see. I think you can't live our lifestyle because we wake up at 5 a.m. to get to our jobs that start at
No.
7 a.m. Like,
No.
oh no. Are you okay?
My commute is 30 seconds from my bedroom to my office, though, so I guess I'm spoiled.
Oh, that makes sense. My commute is 2.5 hours. Well, was 2.5 hours.
Oh, that hurts.
Where does it hurt, Laura? Like, show on this puppet.
It hurts all over.
Point on this puppet.
It hurts
where it hurts.
It hurts all over.
Oh,
everywhere.
the entire puppet?
I
Oh,
throw
no.
the puppet. Yes.
Oh my gosh. From a rating of 1 to 5, use these faces on this card to show how much it hurts. Is it a 1 or a
It's an 11.
Oh my gosh, that's absolutely terrible.
11,
That's absolutely
Marco.
terrible. But before we get into talking about too much about how much things hurt inside, because we all know it's an 11 for every single one of us, let's talk about what we've been doing. Laura, I want to ask you what you've been doing this week, because not this morning, because obviously all you've been doing is probably trying not to die.
All I've been doing is standing at my coffee maker, like praying for it to go faster. No, what have I been doing? I've actually been playing Darkest Dungeon. I know I'm a little behind everyone else, but I don't get a lot of I don't make a lot of spare time to play games. But
surprise,
yeah,
surprise, because you actually have a life.
Do I though? No, I just work too much. No, I've been playing Darkest Dungeon, and I'm like incredibly addicted to it.
Mm.
But I threw my Switch not actually threw it. I like angrily put it down.
Oh no.
Because I was upset because 2 of my characters that I told myself I wasn't going to get attached to, but I got attached to them anyway, got killed in the last dungeon that I did. And so that was like a few days ago, and I haven't touched it since.
Oh my gosh.
So-
What classes were they?
It was my Plague Doctor, who I really loved, and my Leper, who I really loved.
Aw.
And they were my Leper was my like absolutely most powerful, highest level character too. And they just got have you played Darkest Dungeon?
Oh yes, I have at least 40 hours on it.
Oh, okay. I was doing I don't even remember like what dungeon I was doing now, but I
It doesn't have
had to do
It doesn't have to be the name, right? Like, which one is it? Is it the undersea one? Is it the one with the skeletons? Is it the one with all the pigs?
It was the one with the skeletons.
Okay.
And I just like I had it was like explore 90% of rooms or something, right? And I was just like, oh, this will be a simple thing just to get that like one more level, because I had just made the jump from like doing all the level 1 dungeons to like doing the level 3 ones.
Yeah.
Right? Because I had like 2 full teams of level 5 people, and so I'm like, okay, I won't get totally smashed. And I was like making it through, but like just barely. I don't know how. These were level 3 and my party was level 5, and I was getting like just narrowly destroyed, but like getting away at the last possible minute.
Yeah.
And then I'm like going to what would inevitably be the last room, and the collector shows up.
Uh-oh.
And just wrecks me.
Never
just
fun.
like unceremoniously wrecks me. And I was totally being a chicken, because at this point it's like the end of the dungeon. Everybody's stressed out. My Vestal was yelling at me. She had already gotten too stressed and was like turning on her team at that point. And I tried to run away because I was like, this is not going to end well. And also, I love these characters even though I shouldn't.
They are my children.
And
this is my son, and this is my other son.
Yes. These are my babies. I cannot let them be hurt. And I tried to run away, and the stupid game wouldn't let me, and then the collector smashed my plague doctor.
But you still got away? Did you kill it? Or like did you at least beat the
No,
collector?
I didn't kill it. I ran. He killed 2 of my characters, and then I had a stressed out Vestal and my Crusader, who was just like, how do I steal things? Because he's a stupid kleptomaniac, and that's all he'll do.
Oh, that sucks.
It's been very stressful for me, okay?
Yeah.
But I love that game. I think there's so many cool things in it, and I'm not like, I'm not really a RPG type person.
Yeah.
You know? I think we've had this discussion before.
Yeah.
But I really like I feel like the positioning mechanic of like your skills being based on what position you're in, and and the position of your enemies too. I feel like that just kind of it simplified things in a way that made me like not hate all of the options. Does that make sense?
Sounds about
like,
right.
Normally RPGs are just like, there's too much going on at any given point in time, and I just like don't want to learn all of this. I just want to like play a game and relax. Play a game and relax. So play Darkest Dungeon. Good job, Laura.
One thing I really like
Anyway.
about Darkest Dungeon, I don't know if you've experienced this, but like, have you noticed that the game actually has predetermined teams?
Yes, the little names they give you.
Yeah, that's like the best part.
Oh my god, I love it. I get so excited to find one. My favorite one so far has been Rebel Yell. I mean, obviously because Billy Idol. But I don't even remember who was on the team. It was like the first one I found, and I remember being like, what's that? Is that a bonus or something?
Yeah.
Because I'm clueless.
Well, my favorite
I
team-
knew like nothing about the game going in.
I
so
see, okay.
That was fun.
Yeah. I think there's like a team called like The Last Crusade, and it's just 4 Crusaders.
That's pretty good.
That's
a bold move.
It's a bold move, right? Like Crusader position 1 and 2. Okay. Crusader position 4.
Yeah, he's just there for moral support. You need one of those.
I mean, I guess
Crusader cheerleader.
Yeah. That's Jonathan over there. He's our cheerleader. Go guys!
Hey.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so
what have you been up to?
Oh my goodness, I have been collectively losing my mind over the fact that Ragnarok is going to get a mobile port, which I think is not going to be as good as original Ragnarok, but it's going to be hella hype. So for the people listening who are probably younger than me or older than me, that's the thing about this game. Is that if you're not in my specific demographic, you've probably never heard of it. So do you know Ragnarok? Do you know Ragnarok Online? Laura,
yes,
DeVito.
but I have not played it.
Oh
yes.
my goodness. Okay, so Ragnarok Online was basically the Asian equivalent to WoW, right? Like this was the thing that bore forth the MMO genre in Asia that WoW didn't do, in my opinion, at least in Southeast Asia. Ragnarok was the one that infected everyone in my country with the MMO bug. And it's basically a Korean MMO with anime-style characters and everything's like the aesthetic's pretty interesting. Like, it's 3D environments with 2D sprite characters.
The rest of the podcast is just going to be you saying Ragnarok over and over, right?
Like, I don't know. There's just something about
Buckle
that
in.
game's world and that game's... Like, literally, as we speak right now, I have a custom-made crocheted Ragnarok pouring next to me.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Google what the pouring looks like. Just do it.
Is it adorable?
Just do it. Like, I'll post it
I'm
on
doing
this
it.
video as well. Yeah. When you're done, just tell me. PORING.
Oh! It's so cute.
Right? It's the generic slime
It's
enemy.
like it's blushing. Why is it so cute?
Right? It's the generic slime enemy in Ragnarok. This is the equivalent of killing rats in an RPG.
No,
but
I love rats.
yeah, but this is so cute, right? Like such an adorable design. It's iconic. Like this thing is
Okay, also, that's an enemy. Give me a break. What is that thing going to do to hurt you? It's just going to, like, squee at you?
No, what it does is it, like, hops into the air and then, like, body checks you. But when it does so, it makes, like, a squeaky squish sound and goes, like, boing.
Oh, he's just trying to hug you, but he doesn't have arms.
So, basically, Ragnarok was born in a time wherein people had enough access to internet that they could play an MMO, but not enough access to the internet that everybody's logged everything in the game forever. Like, so what I mean is that, like, there's no wiki. Like, there's no easily available wiki for Ragnarok. Like, the concept of a wiki in that time and era was non-existent, right?
Yeah.
So what makes Ragnarok so interesting is that by not having any tutorials, by not having any quest logs, or anything for that matter, you're forced to wander around and figure things out on your own. So you had two options. You could either Alt-Tab, go onto Microsoft Explorer, because Firefox didn't exist back then, and then try to go to GameFAQs or whatever. Try to look for a wiki and not find anything, right? And just find a bunch of message boards or whatever that give you sporadic answers. Or the most likely thing that you were going to do is you would approach another player and ask them what to do. You see where I'm getting at? Like, this is an experience that barely happens in modern MMOs right now. Because most of the time what happens is you either get railroaded by quests, or you just look everything up on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
And therefore, the sense of, like, you being transported into a world that you have to figure out, it no longer happens, you know?
Sure.
Like, this was only something that you could do in old Ragnarok, I think. It might just be me being an old-timey fuddy-duddy, and it's like, no quest logs and no tutorials mean the game suck, and you just have rose-tinted glasses. Like, I understand, like...
Hipster Marco
yeah,
here.
like, hipster, like, old-school Marco. But, like, at the end of the day, I love that experience of Ragnarok, you know, when you figure out that you, like... I don't know. The quests for them just seemed really fun to me. Like, I don't know. They just did a lot with a very little, and it captured my imagination. For example, okay, look, if you're thinking about typical game in 2018, like, if you had a job quest that says, like, okay, to advance in this job class, what do? Usually it's like, kill this thing, or collect this number of thing. Like, you know what I mean, right? That's the typical kind of quest. In this one, I think they tried to do something really cool, which was they integrated what your job personality was with your quest. So for example, if you're a priest or trying to become a priest or a acolyte, they literally put you, they're like, okay, first test is the test of, like, prudence and patience. And what they literally tell you is, like, stand in this line for 5 minutes without talking to anyone. And that was the quest.
All right.
And then after that, they were like, this is the quest that shows that you do not care about earthly possessions. As an acolyte, we must get rid of all of our worldly desires so that we may serve our fellow man. And it goes, I will now put you into a room with some of the rarest loot in the game. You'll have to not touch them for like 2 minutes.
No.
So... And stuff like that's pretty cool, right? Like I found that to be a very interesting, and like it's super simple to do. But like sometimes I think the variety that you can put in quests like that just makes it really interesting. So that's it. Ragnarok Online. Marco ranted about it for like 5 minutes. That's it.
I dig it.
I dig it too. All right, let's move on to something more level 99 games related, and I'm sure people just want me to stop talking about Ragnarok Online. So let's talk about Laura Levito Online, also known as The Pipeline. Where we have Laura talk to us about stuff she's been doing for level 99 games. So anybody interested can find out some future stuff about future projects about Laura or anything she's working on. So Laura, tell us what do you have in store for us?
Okay, so like my life over the past 3 weeks or so has been getting rules all like finished up and balance all ready for Imperial. So that's on its way. And then 7th Cross. I've basically just been like bouncing between those two things. And then BattleCon Online when I have time or when something is broken and I need to like come up with something visually
Really?
to fix it.
I see. So Laura to the rescue every time.
No, it's usually like, oh, we need a thing to clarify this. Do the thing. Like we're working right now on probably the next feature we'll put into BattleCon Online. Don't quote me. No, I mean like this whole thing is quotable. Don't hold me to this. Is tooltips for keywords, which is something we've been talking about for a really long time, but just have been fixing other more important things before implementing this new thing. So, yeah. So like when you pull up a card, how it'll say like advance. So like a little tooltip that can pull up on the side to tell you what advances, which will really, really help new players. And also give us a lot of flexibility with what we can do with things like Serafina, right? Who has like projection 2. And she's like the only character in the game that uses something like that. So we can actually just make a tooltip to clarify what the heck that means. When normally we're kind of limited by card space by what we can do like on the card. So yeah, so tooltips for BCO. So like that comes up and Anderel will frantically be like, hey, we need a mock-up for this. And so then I'll be like, yes, I'll do the thing. So yeah, that and then 7th Cross, which I just like get really excited every time I get back to 7th Cross.
Oh my gosh, yes, right? Yes, right?
Yeah.
Yes, right?
Yeah. And it's finally in TTS for playtesting, right?
Yes.
So that's cool. So people can actually try it out. So the next step will be like I just got mostly done doing the stat cards for hunters, which sit in your like action deck. And they give you different actions to do, but they also allow you to like pay to do different actions throughout your turn. So that's been really fun to work on. I just like it. I love the setting. It's like super in my wheelhouse to do things that are dark and broken.
Are you sure you're okay, Laura?
I'm okay. It's early, Marco.
Dark and broken. It sounds like my heart.
Right. If I had one, I would agree.
Oh my gosh,
you.
Laura. Are you secretly a goth?
It's not secret. I'm like, that's my soul music is goth music.
I see. Like, okay.
Anyway.
Okay. No. So can we show some of these? Like, can I use some of them like as art for like the episode? So if you're listening to this episode, the episode art is probably Laura's cool stuff. Actually, that should be the name of this podcast now. Laura's cool stuff.
That's it. We're changing the name.
Yeah, that's absolutely great. You know, it's kind of weird that we've gone through an entire 20-minute segment of this entire podcast without ever talking about languages. Huh.
I know. I'm super impressed with us right now. We've really reeled it in this time.
I'm proud of us, Laura. All right, so Laura, any other cool things like, you know, like secret stuff that Brad's making you do? Oh, no.
Oh, we do have secret things. I got to do, that was a little while ago, I got to do a box mock-up for a season of Exceed.
That we can't tell anyone about.
Yeah. I mean, I know what it is. But yeah, it's very exciting, and I think everyone's going to be super stoked when we can announce it.
Yeah.
So
wait, is this the one that involves fighting on roads?
No.
It's not. Is this the one that involves standing beside each other?
No.
I see. So even I don't know. Oh.
It's something completely different.
Oh, secretly it was Tekken all along. I didn't say...
We could have never guessed.
Wait, did I say Tekken?
Uh-huh.
I meant Taken. Like the movie with Liam Neeson in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take and Exceed. That's the next
Yeah,
thing.
He has a very special set of skills.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so got to do a design for that, which was cool. What other secret stuff do I have?
Well, here's the thing. What are you most excited for?
7th Cross.
What about 7th Cross, my friend?
Just kind of getting to flesh out more of that world, because so we started when I started with my work on it, right, which is mostly like the card templates, and it'll be like the player boards and stuff. So what I love about my job is all of that stuff really like sets the tone for a game. So like character illustrations, awesome. Like environment illustrations, super cool. Items, everything is beautiful. But I feel like we could take the same art that like Wicked Alucard has done on those characters and put them on like a Magic the Gathering frame. We would get sued. But we could do that thing, and it would have like a wildly different tone to the game than if we put it on the same card frames from Exceed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the art doesn't, like, the character art is helped or transcended by the UI graphical element art that you usually do, right?
Right.
Like in the same manner, like maybe Magic's not the most appropriate thing here. Like maybe like if you put 7th Cross art in a TCG Pokemon frame.
Yes.
It would be...
I was trying to think of something that was like super, super just like bright colors and so like a Pokemon frame would be good.
Yeah.
Instead of a Magic one. But yeah, so the way I figure is like if I'm doing my job, you're focused on the character art, right? Which is gorgeous. But everything else that I've done just kind of like sets the scene for it and lets you look at that and be like, okay, well, that's what the character looks like, but what kind of world do they live in?
I see.
And that's like what I'm trying really, really hard to do with 7th Cross, because it's a very like world and lore heavy game.
Yeah, definitely.
I think more than any of our other games so far.
Yeah.
Like I think we took a step towards that with Imperial, how much like character we were trying to put into all of the components.
Yeah, definitely. Like every single thing is a thing in there, right? Like these aren't just indiscrete. Like this isn't just a random part. It is a like hyper connection drill modifier, right? Like yeah.
So I've been really excited with that with 7th Cross, because aside from just that, like I like the whole Gothic setting and stuff. It's an opportunity to like build a really, really cool world. So I've done the action card templates, which that'll be like your stat cards, your consumables, talents, and attacks. Which I'm really excited with what we're doing for attack cards. Those are going to be cool. But then once I'm through those, I get to do like the hunter cards and the weapon cards and the whole like player board. And that's actually what I think most excited to do, because that's the thing that like sits in front of you for the whole game.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right. So it's got to look impressive.
Oh heck yeah, dude.
You know, like it's got to, like there are so many games, like I'm trying to think of the one that just like caught my eye on Kickstarter a while back. Dice. God, I want to say Dice Throne, but that's not it. Shoot, I'm spacing on the name of it. If I remember it after this, I'll tell you, so you can put it up on the screen like, this is what Laura failed to remember.
All right.
But the character player boards were so cool that I was like, I don't even really care about games in this genre most of the time, but like everything was presented so well that I was like, hey, what's that character do? You know, like aside from just like the character art was cool, everything was presented in such like a unified way. And that's what like I want to make sure that we really, really get right with this, is making you want to play that game like just based on the way that it looks.
Oh yeah.
Because the mechanics are solid. Like the gameplay is awesome. Like it's going to be really cool. But like I want somebody who doesn't know anything about us and doesn't know anything about this game so far to like randomly pass by it at Gen Con and be like, yes, what's that?
Yes. So I think this is a big question that I've had for you, is that a lot of your work, basically, if you do your work right, people don't notice your work. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's your goal, right? As a UI or like card frame designer. Here's my big question for you. How do you balance that with Gothic themes? Since the problem with Gothic architecture and Gothic aesthetic is that it's supposed to be needlessly opulent, needlessly noisy, right?
Yeah. So I think for me, at least when I've been doing these frames, right, is thinking about where I'm actually putting detail is like a big part of these, right? Because, so normally I do graphic design, but what I like the most is illustrated graphic design, right? So that's like what you're seeing a lot of in 7th Cross and what I did a good amount of in, Imperial as well.
And BCO.
So that's when like, oh yeah, BCO as well. Yeah, okay, so there you go. The actual like battle screen on BCO with how like the header thing is all like stone and stuff like that, right? Illustrated graphic design. That's what I like. It's my passion.
Oh my gosh.
It's my passion.
I knew you were going to say it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I had to. I couldn't let it go. So what when I'm looking at these frames for Seventh Cross, sometimes I can do like a really cool flourishy design and like it totally fits the theme, but I look at it and I'm like, I don't even know where to look on this card. So like it looks pretty, but I'm not like drawing your eye anywhere. And with board games, that's like super important. I mean, it's important with any graphic design.
My text
but
is
like
down
in
here,
board
buddy.
games.
My text is down here, buddy.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So making sure that like there's a hierarchy to it. So like where am I focusing more design or where more design elements, you know, and more detail, and where am I just like leaving it totally open, because sometimes that can be what draws your eye. You know, if everything is all super dense, but there's this one space that's like super clean, you're going to look there first because it's not as noisy as the other parts,
like,
you know? So
yeah.
that's been like the big balance for me. And that has been challenging because like it's this like I love Gothic architecture and Gothic design in general, and so like I want to pull all of those references that I have in my brain and on my hard drive, and like do these crazy elaborate things, but like sometimes you just can't, you know, so I gotta like reel it in a little bit. But it's been fun. Like it's been a really cool challenge for me. I enjoy it.
Wow.
I do like those.
Would you say that the challenge has allowed you to grow as a human being?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Or at the very least as an illustrator and designer.
Okay, that's more reasonable. Remember like in school where they would make you do that stuff? It's like, you know, we brought you to play baseball. Now write an essay about how that changed your life.
Yeah, I was never good at those things.
Oh, I'm really good at those things. In fact, it's the only thing I'm good at. Writing really like fake essays about how life-changing mundane events can be. Like, why do you think the intros to every single one of these podcasts is the way it is? Like,
they make me so happy, though. So you are good at what you do, Marco.
Yeah, which is to introduce things in a way that's so circuitous that the meaning is entirely lost, but you enjoy listening to it anyway.
It nailed it.
Nailed it. All right. So, Laura, before we move on to our last segment, do you want to say anything else about things people should watch out for, or like things people should like tell you, or maybe you want to ask them a question or whatever? Nothing?
So I guess yeah, more BattleCon Online stuff, right? Because it's funny, I say that I'm most excited about Seventh Cross, but basically like my schedule is always like filled with work that I need to do, and then like something BCO pops up, or we decide like let's take one day and work on some BCO stuff, because like I just have so much other stuff to do, right? And so since that's up and running, I'm kind of, you know, I have to focus on some of the things that we ignored for a little while. So I'm always really, really excited when I get to like get back to BCO. And I know that we have all these players who will go to like the feature request channel, and it's hilarious. I think it's like Tank Bard is the one who will always just respond to things and be like, look at the Trello link. Because I made this Trello board of basically tracking most of the feature requests that I've caught from people, or at least like the most commonly reoccurring ones. And then what we're planning on doing, what I'm actively designing, or when I get to BCO, what I'm actively designing, and then what Seki, or what is currently being implemented, right? And that was really so that we can have this like outwards communication with people to say like, we've heard you, we know that you want this, we just like, we can't do it right now. Or we plan to do that, or we don't plan to do that, and here's why. Because I think that's really important, and I always am really excited when like games that I love, when the developers are really open with things like that, right? It's good to know that like you're being heard, and when you tell us that like, hey, I know you had to take out lore because it was more important to show off the actual UA of the characters. We really want that lore. And like, we totally know that you want that lore. We want that lore, you know, but like we had to prioritize like game mechanics first. And sometimes that sucks, but we had to do it, right? So like, that Trello board, I've really enjoyed maintaining it, mostly because like I just lurk in the feature request channel all the time and listen to what everybody wants. So like, please keep telling us that. I care a lot about BCO and making sure that everyone is getting like the gameplay experience that, getting one that is healthy and not frustrating, right? I want to say that everyone's getting the gameplay experience that they love, but like, that's kind of impossible to do. No, you know?
Here's the thing, though.
And that's frustrating.
You know what we can guarantee? Is that we can probably give them the gameplay experience they deserve.
There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, keep telling us what you want from that, and Thanks for being awesome and understanding that we are a really small team. And like, I'm super proud of what we've been able to do as a very small team.
Wow.
And we want more time. I wish I had like 80 hours to work per week so that I could do like just 40 hours of BCO work.
I mean,
honestly.
You technically do. Evil grin. You technically have 80 hours.
It's true. I do.
Why do you
sorry,
sleep, Laura?
I've been sleeping.
Why do you sleep?
Sorry.
Why do you eat? Why do you maintain a healthy lifestyle outside of work? Huh? Tell me.
Do I?
Capitalism says that you're only as good as your production value.
It's fair.
All right. So that pretty much does it for the pipeline segment, where we have Laura talk about stuff she's excited about, stuff she's been doing, as well as stuff that we should look out for. Well, now we're moving on to my segments. My favorite segments. The 99 questions. Well, I shall bring you forth from the cusp of death into the loving arms of answers to your questions. Laura, are you ready for some questions? I don't know what the character was. I name him Fernando.
You were going a little towards the count, and so I was gonna do question 1.
Let's do it. Let's do it right now. Question 1.
Perfect.
How do I motivate myself to play BCO again after not playing for a few months? Laura, what gets you to play BCO?
So, well, Carolyn's not in the game yet, so I'm boycotting. It's so funny because that makes it seem like I have this like history with loving Carolyn. No, I don't. I just like really love the way that character looks.
Oh, she looks so beautiful. Have you seen the original art for her?
Yes, I have.
Okay, that's great. Because that Katrina Lynn art is beautiful.
It's great, but I just like love her current art.
No Comento's art, the vibrant one,
I love it.
very, very
I love
beautiful.
it so much. I really like bright colors. No, but I think thinking about why you want to play the game in the first place, right? So it's funny because I feel like this has come up a lot on the BCO Discord of like playing to win versus playing to just have fun, you know, or anywhere in between. For me, I know that like, so I play a lot of Destiny. I feel like this comes up every time I'm on the podcast.
Yes, and every time I see you online, it says Laura Levito is playing Destiny.
I'm sorry. You know, sometimes I'm just logged in and I'm not actually playing. I feel like I need to. It's most of the time I'm playing. If I'm not working, I'm playing Destiny. No. But that's a game that I've definitely played more of than like any other game, right? Mm-hmm. And have also taken the most breaks from it over time, right? So like at the end of Destiny 1, right? I took like a solid couple month break, and like what makes you get back to it, right?
Yeah.
Well, why did I stop playing in the first place? I was super frustrated with a bunch of matchmaking stuff, or I was annoyed at weapons changes that they did,
or premium currency times 7.
Yes. No, it was never the premium currency. It was like the millions of in-game currencies that drove me crazy.
Yeah, sorry.
You know, so why did you stop playing, and like what will make you play again? Well, for me, it was aside from like I'm a hyper competitive person, right? And so like when I was going into Crucible, and the meta at the time was stuff that not only do I feel like I'm not as good at being effective with, it's also a style of gameplay I don't enjoy. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, well, I'm not going to frustrate myself, you know, like I feel like I've reached a point where I can at least just be like, okay, well, I'm just like not going to play for right now, you know? So like if there was something about playing BCO again that was frustrating you, maybe it was that every time you queued, you got queued into a mirror match, you know, like, well, there are a lot more people playing now. And so the chances of that happening are
slimmer.
Less.
Slimmer.
Yeah, right? And think about like, well, why is it that you're playing? Are you playing specifically to just get better? Are you playing to always win? Are you playing just because like you really enjoy BattleCon and you can never convince people to play in real life with you?
Same.
Or yeah, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. What's your answer, Marco? Mine was convoluted,
Yeah.
as most things I say.
I guess my answer is that, you usually stop playing because you, like Laura said, you end up getting frustrated about certain things, or maybe you just get tired and bored, and that's perfectly understandable, right? Especially if you grind. Like, I've seen people grind out over 200 games in 1 week. I don't know
my
how.
God, that's crazy.
I don't know how they
Yeah.
do it. Like, they're crazy or something. They, like, literally play for tens or dozens of hours a day.
Yeah.
And, at the end of the day, like, you can get burned out from that. So, every month we release new stuff and we patch quite often, right? And every month there's a new character. So, one thing that could get you back into a game really easily is just looking at all of the cool stuff that's been released ever since you stopped playing, We've released Berman. We're about to release Evil Hikaru. It's like all of these characters could be the way that you come back. Sometimes, though, just coming back from a break is all you need to motivate yourself to play again. The game seems fresh and is always new, even if nothing's actually changed in-game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's totally true. I can remember playing the original Assassin's Creed. Did you ever play the original Assassin's Creed?
Yes.
That's the only one that I played, right? And I remember starting it and playing it for a solid, 2 weeks or something. I don't mean that I played every day. All day or anything.
You played
that.
like 15, 20 hours, right?
Yeah, but then I was just like, wow, this is really just like the same thing over and over. Okay. And I stopped playing it for a really long time. And literally a year later, I was like, why don't I finish this game? I think I was relatively close to finishing it and picked it back up and really enjoyed playing through to the end of the game.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not saying that Battlecon Online is as repetitive as the original Assassin's Creed was, but it's that whole I was enjoying my experience. It was just that I need a break from this, and then you come back and even though it was exactly the same thing, it still felt fun.
Yeah, yeah. It's new. It feels fresh, right? Because of that break you took. By the way, if you like the original Assassin's Creed, play the new Spider-Man. It's basically that, but you're Spider-Man.
Ooh.
Yeah, you're Spider-Man. All right, nice question. Question 2. Oh, I like this one. Do you have any questions for the listeners?
Can I make you go first?
Oh, sure. No problem. How do you guys like the podcast? How do you feel like the editing's been? When I make these things, I often ask for feedback. People usually say they're okay with it, but are they too long? Are they too short? Should Marco stop ranting about old-timey video games that he likes? Should Brad stop talking too much about how he's so excited for Seventh Cross? Or should Laura stop talking about Destiny? Should Marco and Brad stop talking about Dark Souls? Do I make too many JoJo references? I would like some feedback. What do you think about the podcast so far? What do you think we can do to improve? I've recently started taking some suggestions. People are asking, hey, can you post summaries in the description? Because some of us don't have 45 minutes to listen to a podcast. And I'm like, all right. So I did that. So maybe there's some things. What other things can I do to make your podcast experience more enjoyable? That's my question. How about you, Laura?
That's a good question. So I stream, right, on Twitch. And I know a lot of our community members do that as well, especially with Battlecon Online. That's been awesome to see our little streamer channel just continue to grow. Mm-hmm. In the BCO Discord. But we have a lot of other community creators in general, right? Not just streaming. I can point out Arb, who made the 500-page lore book. Arbco, and just watching on the Unleashed Kickstarter, how we've had our social goals are all creative goals, seeing everybody that's posting things for that. So as a designer, I have a unique set of skills.
Oh no!
Right?
I will find you.
No, but I want to know what I can do to help you all with that stuff, if anything. Right? So I know people were really excited when we put out those print and play talk boxes. And that was cool because it was stuff that we kind of had anyway and just got around to doing. One of the things that's been on my never-ending list for Battlecon Online is doing kind of a streamer package for people. So I know people want to customize their own thing, but if you don't want to do that or don't know how to do it, being able to download this package that has a starting soon that's BCO themed and a Be Right Back and a game overlay and all of these little overlays that you can use it with whatever streaming platform you use for streaming. So that's something I really want to do because as a streamer, I appreciate that, so what in the community, what can I do to help you all continue your creations? Because that's the coolest thing to see is a community kind of taking what you've done. I mean, like, Brad can speak to this more because for the most part, these are like his characters and his world that he's built. But even just like being as involved as I am, it's really cool to see people take something that you've done and just run with it.
Yeah.
You know, because like that means they're connecting to it. So like, I would love to be able to help you all. Like, I know it was Arbco actually when he wrote his Calistar guide, that he reached out to me and asked how he could get like copies of the cards for his guide. And I was like, we can do that for you. I have some. Andorel can give you some. And I know Andorel's actually given copies of cards to people before too. So like when you need that stuff, like unless it's something we like legally cannot share, for the most part, we're happy to like share things with you so you can make better resources for the community and like help me help you.
Yeah, indeed. Actually, this is something Brad and I were talking about like creating a giant repository that everyone can like access, like including like, you know, art of the characters without the backgrounds or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just so that people can like keep making stuff easier, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool, very cool. All right, so we'll move on to the last question. Question number 3. This is relevant to both of us. Why is Seki so great?
Why is he so great? I feel like there's probably some kind of creature in Australia that like bit him and injected him.
He's a radioactive great person.
Probably.
Yeah. So he's great man.
Yeah. I am great man.
Yeah.
No, Seki's wonderful.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is with Cameron. Like, the guy is a machine. Like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like, I bet you work long hours, Laura. Seki probably works even longer than that. Like, like I don't understand. When does he eat? Answer, he doesn't. He doesn't actually eat, right? Like,
he doesn't.
Like that worries me so much. He forgets to eat. And it's like, he just messages us in the chat and goes, I haven't eaten in 20 hours. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Why are you doing this to yourself? Yeah. No, he is a machine, but he loves what he's doing.
Yeah.
You know, and man, you want to talk about somebody who wants to please the community and our players like no matter what all the times.
Yeah,
like,
that's
all the time.
That's Cameron. See, as the community manager, you'd think that's my job. But
he's beating you. I'm sorry.
No, it's not that. But as a community manager, you have to grow to learn that it's not really about making the players happy, but or doing whatever they want, but it's trying to give everyone the best experience possible. Right?
Yeah, it's fostering a healthy community that they can
and sometimes
be happy in.
That includes not doing what they want. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
Like in BattleCon, people are like, I guess in BCO, every time somebody goes like, hey, can we nerf X character because I just lost to them? Like, no.
Yeah.
That's not how things work.
We can't.
That's not how things work.
No, that's been, I think, that's something that like I'm kind of used to based on like my experience prior to working for Level 99. But the whole idea of when someone says like, oh, hey, I think this should be laid out like this because this is like how I use it. And I have to sit and take that and be like, okay, yes, you use it that way. And I'm sorry that I'm not doing exactly like, I'm not giving you exactly what you want, but we have all of these other players. And so I just have to find like the cross section that best fits as many of them as possible, you know? And I feel like as a community, as a community manager, you're probably in the same place. You know, you have to find the answers to problems or solutions to problems that may not make everyone 100% happy, but at least like end up with the best possible result in the end.
I guess that's just the bane of working, I guess. That's the bane of life, everyone. Take this as a lesson. Yeah. Not everybody's going to be happy with your decisions, but you make your decisions with the best of your capabilities, and that's just how it goes.
It's true.
All right. So that pretty much does it for this episode of the Level Cap Podcast. Thank you all very much so much for listening. If you like this episode, please click that like button and comment or share it with a friend. And if you absolutely hated this podcast, share it with your greatest enemy. That way we still get reach. Wink. Right? Right?
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. No.
All right. As usual, that's been me, your host, Marco DeSantos, also known as the Mechanic Critic, also known as that one Asian guy. And with me has been the unkillable, unresentable, unbeatable, understanding.
You ran out of uns.
Yeah.
Laura Levito.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me again. This is always a blast.
It's always a blast to have you on, Laura. Sorry again for making you wake up in the graveyard hour and midnight hour and then chug 7 drinks of coffee just to be cognizant enough.
I would have done it anyway. It just would have been 2 hours later.
All right. Thank you so much for listening, and don't forget your special action, and thank you, World of Indians. Thank you, and good night. Laura, say happy gaming.
Happy gaming!